Hey, hopefully you guys can ignore the noise in the background. This is hashtag CDC Whistleblower. I'm Dana, and I'm here with Tim with at Tanner's Dad. And this is going to be Trends and Tips number 18. It's amazing how quickly the days are going. So, Tim, give us a little bit of information about this little meme right here. This is an interesting one. What were your thoughts when somebody saw you tweet, "A brain smells bad when it fries"? What were you thinking about?
The thought to me was the fact
Something just happened.
that's going their
Can,
their
can you
brains.
can you can you
So
repeat that, Tim? It just went bad for a second.
the thought to me went through my brain that I said, "Oh, our children's data needs to be preserved." There's a new commercial out said, um, "Your data is your data," and that's part of the issue with a vaccine-injured child. Is this is a neurodevelopmental issue that it comes and fries brain cells, and so that's exactly what happens. And then at the point that I was seeing that commercial, I was actually changing Tanner at 17 years old, and it smelled in the house. So that's connecting all the dots for you more graphically than you need.
Sorry, I muted you because the doorbell rang and the UPS guy was here. And this is just okay. Now tell us a little bit. You were on Leslie's show, and the new link for that is /VaxTrax4. We know that ages us a wee bit, but it's VaxTrax4, and I'm going to go to that so they can see that all you do is you're one click away, and you can go right here and play it right there. So I wanted to be able to show you that. But now go back to Tim. Where are you, Tim? And talk about the
Let,
threat at CDC whistleblower.
let me just say on the VaxTrax 4, I think everybody in the community needs to watch that radio show, because in that you get a sense of what we're trying to accomplish with CDC whistleblower, and we want to give thanks to everybody in the community. 36,000 people now are involved in making CDC whistleblower reach a billion. So it's a total team effort, and we thank everybody involved.
And we also just want to tell people that all we're trying to do is do anything and everything we can to get to hashtag break a billion for CDC whistleblower. And we're just hoping that everybody feels honored and thanked and loved and nurtured in this. We're just simply doing the best we can with what we have. And like he said, that's a show, VaxTrax4, that Leslie did. She's not from the autism community, but from the general health community, and has been doing this a really long time, and is thrilled to see what we have going on. Now, Tim, tell us a little about 1 and 2. You're constantly going to that one, and the kid experiments. In the 6.5 years that you've had on Twitter, how big of a deal is it now that you have references that you can just rattle off easily? Has that changed how you tweet?
As I've said before, I've never seen a movement like this. I've never seen a reaction like this. And what this feather in our cap as a whole entire community will say, we've had our 1 million person march times 100 in the fact that our families can't march on Washington, D.C. in the numbers they can march on Paris. And so this is our $1 billion mark that we take to Congress and say, we have the votes, we have the people discussing right now, and 1 and 2 represents the tipping point, that 54% of our children now are chronically sick, and that's not an acceptable new normal.
And this one right here was just a meme that emerged after Marcella, Tim, and Candace were all on Leslie's show. Tim did a really good job of spitting out the tiny URL 1 and 2, and that goes to 54% of our kids are sick right now, and that's an NIH statistic. And one of the things we talked about was how if you are trying to convince somebody to look into the vaccine research that exists to really establish a cost-to-benefit analysis that reflects the data that's available, you have to do some research. And the easiest way to convince people to do research is get them to a resource that they're just a one click away from looking at it. And so anytime you're on the radio, you can't do that visually. You have to do it auditorially. So having all of these tiny URLs available that no matter what they say, you can respond with a link to a resource. If they want to talk about the CDC whistleblower, you can say, well, /CDC censor is a place where it's the most up-to-date on the information about how this has been censored in 2014. And it's just a way to communicate that can get the most information into people's brains the most quickly. And isn't that how you've been using it, Tim?
Absolutely, and the impact that we're having now and the feedback we're getting is so positive on the people actually using the links and going to people's websites, and the numbers are speaking for themselves now that we're having that click through and we're having that response that the community hasn't seen, and we're actually seeing numbers from outside the community come in and ask questions now. So even to the point where Kirstie Alley makes a comment that can be related back to the CDC whistleblower mission and the health of our children. So those are the things that are real meaningful to moving the whole discussion, and the power is in the people's hands. The people are the ones keeping the politicians at the podium.
And hashtag CDC whistleblower and hashtag Be1Less as a shortcut has become your library, your place that if you go to a mommy and me class and you have a pregnant woman saying, I just don't know what to do about this vaccine thing, you could say to them, you know, go to hashtag CDC whistleblower. I think you'll find a lot of great studies. Or you could say, you know what, I want to bring you some stuff next week. And I'm going to, and then just come to the hashtag, pull up the stuff that you need and bring that to them. I mean, it's just chock full of stuff that you need to get people to look at the data, which is all we want. Is because bottom line, when people look at the data, there's no more questions. There's simply no more questions. You look at the data and go, holy Toledo, I had no idea. So again, this is, I don't want you to look at Tim's feed as a new tweeter, as an example of what your feed should look like. His is different because he has 6.5 years of a way that he's established his tweeting. He doesn't use nearly as many visuals as we want you all to use. But this is at Tanner's Dad. He has great information all the time on his feed, and certainly a lot of stuff that you could retweet. Anything else you want to say? A quick tip, Tim, that they still don't know? Tim? Are you there? I may have lost him, so what we will do now is say thank you very much. And this will be at /TaTips18. Thanks, and have a healthy day.